Welcome to my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow more amazing content. In the suburbs of the city, Sunrise Park is always bathed in gentle sunlight in the early morning. This is a haven for quiet nature, where birdsong blends with the soft breeze passing through the tree branches. Under the shady canopies lies an old bench, where Mr. Sam, a black elderly man, sits in deep contemplation every morning. He is not a local. No one knows exactly where he came from or why he chose to live alone in this area. Each morning, Mr. Sam performs movements that are graceful yet powerful. Few neighbors pay attention to him, only noticing his quiet, measured breaths. Anyone observant enough would realize he's not just exercising but also practicing a refined martial art. His movements, from kicks to defensive maneuvers, carry the unmistakable essence of karate. Mr. Sam was once a renowned martial artist across the country in his youth. But due to a heartbreaking event, he decided to leave it all behind, choosing a peaceful life in this small town. He carries a painful memory he never wishes to speak of. He finds peace only in nature, in the karate moves he practices each day. One day, while Mr. Sam was meditating on the park bench, a group of teenagers passed by. The group consisted of 3 boys: Jake, a tall teen with messy hair and a cold, piercing gaze; Rob, slender but sly; and Max, the youngest of the group, with a naive look but just as arrogant. Jake was the leader, known for his aggressive and reckless behavior, often bullying others to assert himself. Spotting Mr. Sam with his elderly, quiet demeanor, Jake smirked and decided to mess with him a bit. "Hey, old man, what are you doing here?" Jake taunted loudly, his tone full of mockery and disdain. Mr. Sam didn't respond. He calmly opened his eyes and looked at the kids, offering a gentle smile. This only fueled Jake's irritation. He picked up a small pebble and threw it at Mr. Sam. In an instant, Mr. Sam swiftly raised his hand and caught the pebble, leaving the group astonished. "You shouldn't behave like that," Mr. Sam said calmly, his tone stern but devoid of anger. Jake and his friends exchanged looks, confused but unwilling to back down. Dismissing it as mere luck on his part, they walked away, though a hint of embarrassment lingered in the face of Mr. Sam's patient and composed reaction. Jake couldn't stand being taught a lesson by an old man. He wanted to prove his strength and decided to return with a plan for revenge. The next day, Jake, along with Rob and Max, went back to the park, bringing along some small sticks they had found. They thought that if they attacked together, there'd be no way for Mr. Sam to escape. When they arrived, they saw Mr. Sam standing in the middle of the field, performing slow karate moves. Jake didn't pay attention to this. He shouted and rushed at Mr. Sam, raising his stick to strike hard. But Mr. Sam effortlessly dodged, his movements as gentle as the wind, without using force. He simply made a few simple moves to lock Jake's stick and push him back. Pushed back but unwilling to surrender, the group took turns attacking. Mr. Sam didn't strike back. He merely dodged with ease, occasionally using his hands to deflect their blows and gently pushing them to the ground. After a few minutes, the teenagers were exhausted, panting and unable to continue their assault. Mr. Sam looked at them and said, "There are mistakes in life that can't be undone. Think about your actions. Don't let regrets come too late." His words rang like a bell within the kids' minds, though they didn't fully understand their meaning yet. However, Mr. Sam's sharp gaze and calm demeanor prevented them from continuing. They walked away, but Jake felt something unusual inside, a sense of shame and a hint of admiration. After that incident, Jake couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Sam. He found himself drawn to the old man's calmness and inner strength. The feeling of shame grew stronger, and finally, Jake decided to seek out Mr. Sam to apologize. One morning, Jake went alone to the park, where Mr. Sam still sat quietly on the bench. "Mr. Sam, I truly regret my actions. I'm sorry and hope you can forgive me," Jake said, his voice full of remorse. Mr. Sam smiled, looking at him with kind eyes. "I forgive you. But the important thing is whether you've learned something from your mistake. If you'd like, I can teach you martial arts. But first, you must commit to changing your ways and learning to respect others. Jake nodded, his eyes shining with determination. And from that moment, his journey began. Every morning, before dawn fully broke, Jake would arrive at Sunrise Park to meet Mr. Sam. On the first day, Mr. Sam didn't start with powerful moves or technical kicks, but simply asked Jake to stand still in a posture with his back straight, arms at his sides, and eyes looking forward. "I thought you were going to teach me martial arts?" Jake questioned, his voice filled with curiosity and a hint of disappointment. Mr. Sam smiled, his gaze calm yet piercing. "To learn martial arts, you must first learn how to stand, breathe, and focus. Martial arts are not about violence but a path to finding peace within yourself." Jake was confused but didn't dare to object. He tried to maintain the posture as instructed, only to find it more challenging than expected. His legs gradually grew tired, his back began to slump, and his breath became short and quick. Mr. Sam gently adjusted him, helping Jake keep his back straight and breathe deeply and steadily. "Learn to control your breath and feel each heartbeat within. This calmness is the foundation of all greatness," he said. During the first week, Mr. Sam taught Jake only simple movements like how to stand, move his feet, and breathe. Initially, Jake found these exercises boring and seemingly unnecessary, but he gradually noticed changes in his body. Each movement required intense focus, helping him to let go of negative thoughts and concentrate on every motion of his body. He began to feel a strange sense of peace as he breathed evenly, listened to the wind, and synchronized himself with the rhythm of nature. Sensing this unique experience, Jake became more persistent. He no longer felt bored. Instead, each early morning, he eagerly looked forward to continuing Mr. Sam's simple yet profound exercises. In the second week, Rob and Max joined in. Hearing about the lessons Jake was receiving, they felt curious, and though hesitant at first, they eventually approached Mr. Sam, asking for permission to learn. Mr. Sam agreed but reminded them, "If you want to learn martial arts, do so with a pure heart. Martial arts is a path of respect, not a tool for defeating others." The three teenagers trained together, gradually becoming close and supportive of one another. On rainy days, the cold would make them shiver, but Mr. Sam didn't allow them to take a break. He said, "Learning martial arts is about persistence, not giving up. External obstacles are never greater than the internal ones within yourself." The training sessions not only made them stronger but also transformed their mindset. Arrogant and reckless behaviors were gradually replaced with humility and mutual respect. Rob and Max noticed that Jake had changed significantly from before. He was no longer arrogant or trying to show off his strength. Instead, he had become calmer and more patient. One morning, while Jake was practicing, a young man passed by and started mocking them. "An old man teaching these kids martial arts? If you train like this, you'll only get weaker," the man sneered. Jake felt his pride flare up. He wanted to respond and show the man he wasn't weak. But Mr. Sam gently looked at him and said, "Pride is the enemy of martial arts. True martial skill lies in patience, knowing when to act and when to step back." Following Mr. Sam's advice, Jake took a deep breath, calmed himself, and ignored the ridicule. For the first time, he felt he could exercise restraint without feeling stifled. Gradually, Jake realized that this calmness gave him a strength far greater than any retaliation or anger could. One morning, as the three teenagers had grown closer to Mr. Sam, Jake curiously asked, "Mr. Sam, why did you choose to live here alone, leaving your old life behind?" Mr. Sam looked at them thoughtfully and then shared his story. He had once been a famous martial artist, respected by all his opponents, but in a major match, his pride got the better of him, and he lost control, unintentionally causing severe harm to his opponent. Since then, he chose to leave behind his fame, burdened by guilt and seeking forgiveness from within. Forgiving others is one thing, but forgiving yourself is the greatest challenge. He said. Mr. Sam's story moved all three deeply. They understood that no one is perfect, and even the greatest have moments when they must face their own mistakes. It was a valuable lesson in humility and forgiveness. Gradually, Mr. Sam increased the intensity of the training for all three. The exercises became more challenging, requiring coordination and mutual support. There were times when Jake, Rob, and Max felt like giving up, but with Mr. Sam's encouragement and the friendship they were building, they didn't quit. They gradually realized that unity was their greatest strength, and because of it, they became a close-knit team. Every morning, they trained together, helping and challenging each other. Jake, Rob, and Max not only became better martial arts students but also learned to care for and support one another in life. Their friendship, once just a temporary alliance of rebellious kids, had now become a deep and lasting bond. After many months of training, Mr. Sam decided to impart the final lesson to all three: facing oneself. He instructed each of them to stand alone on the hill near the park. Facing the wind and looking inward, they were to stand still, listen to the beat of their hearts, and reflect on their actions and mistakes of the past. In that moment, Jake remembered all the times he had bullied and looked down on others. He felt regret and realized that those actions came from insecurity and an attempt to hide his own weaknesses. Rob and Max also had moments of confronting their own past mistakes. Mr. Sam simply said, "We cannot change the past, but we can choose how we live from tomorrow onward." The three looked at him with gratitude, realizing they had learned not only martial arts but also profound lessons about how to live. Finally, the three completed their journey of training with Mr. Sam. From arrogant, headstrong teenagers, they had grown into humble, patient young men who knew how to care for others. Their friendship strengthened, becoming a powerful source of support for each of them. They were no longer rebellious kids but had become individuals who lived with responsibility, respect, and kindness toward those around them. One day, Mr. Sam announced that he would be leaving the city to seek a more peaceful life. The group couldn't help but feel saddened, but he left them with a piece of advice: life is short. Live in a way that leaves no regrets. Don't let pride cloud your soul. Live to sow goodness, so that when you look back, you can be proud of yourself. After Mr. Sam left, Jake, Rob, and Max continued to uphold the lessons he had taught them. They grew into kind and responsible young men, always helping those around them and inspiring others. Mr. Sam's image remained a source of motivation for them to keep living well and becoming stronger each day.